So it's interesting to think that we read from the book of Revelation, written by St. John. We're reading the Gospel of John, written by St. John. And the language that's being used here is very specific. Ascending and descending on the Son of Man. I saw the holy city Jerusalem coming down out of heaven from God. So think about those movements. Ascending, descending, the new Jerusalem coming down from heaven. Because it makes a big difference. First, the ascending and descending. Isn't it interesting that it's not the angels descending and ascending, but it seems like it kind of flips it. So what's going on there? Well, that language there, anyone who would have heard that would have gone back to the book of Genesis and would remember the story of Jacob, one of their great forefathers, in which he was sleeping in a place that later would be called Bethel, and he had this vision, Jacob's ladder. And it says there that the angels were ascending and descending on that ladder. And now Jesus is saying, with that same language, I am Jacob's ladder. And that's important because that place is called Bethel, the house of God, which means Jesus is saying, one, that he's the Son of Man. And when he says that, it doesn't just mean, hey, you're a guy, but it means you are this mysterious figure from the book of Daniel, who every other kingdom will be crushed. No matter how powerful it is, they will all fall away, but there will be one like a Son of Man coming on the clouds, and to him the Father will give all dominion. He will have an everlasting rule. And there's this mysterious image there where Jesus is saying, that's me. And I'm also the ladder. And I'm also the house of God. Because that place is called Bethel. Bethel, house of God. So Jesus is saying, I am the house. I'm the place that you need to find shelter. I'm also the place in which heaven and earth touch, because that's what a ladder does, touches heaven and earth. And I'm also the place in which the angels of God minister. It's the center point for all that the angelic world does. Angels mean, angel in Greek means messenger. And so the messengers of God are all focused on a center point, which is Jesus himself. The Lord calls us, like he called Nathanael, to have Jesus, the Son of Man, be our center point. That's the beautiful thing about Nathanael. When things clicked, he just jumped all in. He had this childlike honesty. And he's probably the kind of guy that just said whatever he thinks. And yet there's something very beautiful about that. Just like how a child will come and just say whatever is there. He had this freedom in his heart, not to water down the word with many other words from his own, saying, well, it could be this or this or this or this, and we kind of qualify. But he just went right to the word and said, you are the Son of God. You are the King of Israel. I'm all in. And so we need to be like Nathanael. We also need to be like the angels. The angels teach us how to act because they are messengers of God. And in order for us to be a true messenger of the Most High, we have to have him be our center point. And we have to, in a sense, you could think of it like St. Therese, ascending going up to heaven, living her life to go up to heaven, but in order to live her heaven on earth. That's the beautiful mystery of that first reading. The new city, Jerusalem, notice how it's coming down from heaven. You might say, well, wait, isn't it supposed to go up? And one of my professors, a scripture scholar, who wrote the Catholic Commentary on Scripture, which is really, really good if you ever get a chance to read it, he says there's something very intentional about what John is saying there. It's not merely us on a quest to get to heaven, but everything that is true, good, and beautiful here, in a sense, heaven comes down and permeates it. And we need to start thinking about not heaven so much as, well, when I get there, but to actually realize that heaven is where the Son of Man is, where Jacob's ladder is. And there's this beautiful blending between heaven and earth, and that's what happens in the liturgy, in which heaven kisses earth. It's God's move first because the Word became flesh and dwelt among us, but the Word is among us. Heaven is among us. And the more that we can start thinking about living our life that will be fully realized in heaven, but really living it here, then that moves away from that temptation of saying, well, I'm just shooting for purgatory. I want to just have a little bit of space to do kind of my own thing, and as long as I miss hell, then I'm okay. And instead, the Lord is saying, live as though heaven is where the Son of Man is. When you receive communion, live that heavenly reality. And as you do that, it stretches you forward to ultimately reach out and say, I want to live heaven now. And when that happens, you become a magnet because other people see your heart reaching for heaven because heaven has come and kissed you first. Ask the Lord for that grace to cry out this liturgical praise as heaven comes very close to you. Be united with Him.